I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Christie Lindor. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm fabulous. How are you doing?
I am excellent, Christine. Please do tell me, what part of the world are you in right now?
I am currently sitting in Boston, Massachusetts, in the U.S.
All right. And tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us meeting?
Well, I think it's gonna have to do with my podcast. I know you were connecting with podcasters, so I think that's it.
Yeah, it is. And you do have an amazing podcast. Tell us about your podcast. Like, what does those letters mean in the podcast? Is it MECS? Is it MECES? Help me.
Yeah, sure. So my podcast name is called the MECE Muse Unplugged, and it's really about helping new or aspiring consultants on their journey to greatness. And MECE is an acronym that stands for mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. And it's a technique, we use in management consulting to help us really solve the root cause of a problem. So instead of solving symptoms, our clients want us to solve the problem. So we look at everything from a MECE lens.
All right. Well, that was pretty intriguing. I got the opportunity to listen to a conversation with you and Jonathan, right? It was pretty fun stuff.
Yeah. I've had a blast with the podcast for sure.
Yeah. So who did you learn the skills of what is necessary to be a consultant from?
Yeah, so man, it goes back years. I knew I wanted to be a consultant since I was in college, and I really kind of walked in on a conference room of consultants on an internship and decided that's what I wanted my career to be. So 15 years later, here I still am. So I've learned really on the job. I've started, since my first job out of college, and I've been in this space for over 15 years.
Wow. And you love it, right?
I absolutely love it. Even to this day, with anything, there's the good, the bad, the ugly of it. But I love it. I know the game well, and I enjoy playing it for sure.
Tell me, why will you continue to repeat these skills?
So I think what's interesting about being a consultant is a lot of the core fundamental skills of a consultant can be transferable for any type of work environment. I've even applied some of the thinking at home. I think it's just the goal of a consultant is to solve problems and to find, tried and true methods, to do research, to make sure that you're coming up with solutions that are evidence-based. You're not just, kind of thinking and feeling and just having opinions. It's actually steeped in facts and data and there's a part intuition as well. But I think those kind of core skills. You can use them in any type of profession. So I feel like, consulting is one of those kind of professions it's going to be around forever in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, do tell us one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
So historically, Angel, I've been more of an introverted private person. I don't really put myself out there. In the last 3 years, I've actually been more open of just putting myself out there on social media, with a lot of my efforts with my podcast and speaking and, publishing a book. So just putting myself out there, like that's really been my thing the last 3 years.
Yeah, you spoke about that, right? You spoke about your book is it's going to be in the pagination process, right?
Yeah.
People are asking you a lot about it, as well as you spoke about the times, right? Like you did something there most recently, didn't you?
Yeah. So it's coming along. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to publish it this year, but I've learned, with publishing a book, there's just such an art to it that is just really fascinating. And you can't rush it. It has to kind of take its course and go through the journey. So I've been sharing. It's hopefully late this year, early next year, we'll be able to release the book. I can't wait.
That was wonderful. This is wonderful. Wonderful. So amazing audience. Again, we are live with Christie Lindor. Like, do check her podcast out, the MECE Muse. Right? Do check that out. Hey, Christie, let's switch gears for a moment now.
Sure.
Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Christie, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Earliest childhood memory. I would say it was actually, I was taking a trip. I think I was maybe 4 years old at the time. But the very first memory I have, I was traveling with my great grandmother, and we were rushing to catch a flight in the airport. And I remember that was the first time I stepped on an escalator, and she's like rushing and she's got me by the hand and we're trying to get up this escalator, and I fell and I scraped my knee. And I remember I was just so devastated. The escalator seemed like such a scary device for me. I remember crying, and I was really kind of upset. And a couple of flight attendants passing by actually stopped. One of them bent down, and she had like one of the pins, like the flight attendants, they usually wear like the pins of their airline.
Yeah.
So she handed me a pen. It was at the time, it was a Delta pen. And she told me if I wear this pen, the pain would go away and it would give me more bravery to be more courageous. And I just remembered she put the pen on me, and I felt so proud. And I think I wiped my tears away, and I was just so proud to be wearing this pen and to be part of like this like flight attendant club.
Wow, well, that is fascinating. So how old do you think you were?
Yeah, I think I was like 4. Maybe 3, 4. Yeah.
All right.
Around there.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
Well, I was actually thinking about that recently, and I feel like it was a premonition of what things to come, in my life. I say that because I realize, in my work, I travel all around the world. So I'm constantly traveling. The word Delta, actually the pen that the flight attendant gave me, actually has a lot of meaning in my life, both personally and professionally. So for many people, Delta is the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet, but for me, it means change. And, I am a change man. That's actually the area I focus on as a consultant, is the realm of change management. I've rebranded my career many times. I'm also a member of a sorority that's called Delta Sigma Theta. So our nicknames are Deltas.
Wow.
And I travel so much with Delta because I lived in Atlanta in the US, and Delta Airlines, I can't make this up. Delta Airlines is headquartered in Atlanta. So I'm, a frequent member of Delta Airlines. So it was just like that word. I didn't know that at the time when they gave me the pen, but that word Delta has continued to mean so much in my life. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I love it. Well, amazing audience. She doesn't need me in this particular situation to give my interpretation, right? She's definitely added it up. And it does speak to the value of your earliest childhood memory and what it does or could represent. What I will add to it though, I'll add the value that the agent or the airline hostess, my apologies, brought to the entire picture. Because while there are people that may be around you, that surround you, that do care, sometimes they can be a bit too fast to get to where they are going, and in so doing cause harm. However, the awareness, right, of the consultant, if you would, the person who was there passing by, the person who had the experience to understand that you needed a bit more is pretty fascinating now that you've become that person whose awareness is there, who's just there, right? The awareness, the big E, the awareness
right.
of other people. So I'm just adding that. But yeah, you definitely did well. I love it. If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song? So
I'm such a fan of music. I don't have like one. That was actually when I was 12. I think that was an era. There was a lot of great music. And I have such an eclectic musical taste. So one of my favorite songs is like, I actually have my top 5. So Like a Prayer by Madonna, Keep on Moving by Soul to Soul, Jada Jackson, Miss You Much was my favorite, Love Shack by B-52s. So I feel like I've just got like such an eclectic, it was just a good time in music.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely say, hey, you definitely need to keep on moving, right? You definitely do keep on moving. I'll take one of the five, right, to connect it. But again, Christy, we have arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. Christy, we're going to go pretty quickly here. Christy, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
How many?
I have a 13-year-old stepson. One.
All right. Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I do. Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes, if Netflix counts. Yes.
What about, all right, so let's talk about screen time, the phone and the computer. Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I'd say definitely more.
All right, Christy, after 1,001 conversations in 3 months in 2016, I came up with a workbook. The name of it is called Yours. It stands for your own unique real self. And connected to that is your own unique real statement as you start to dig deeper, your mission, right? If you had to share with us, Christy, your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
I would say own your experience.
Own your experience. OYE. I love it. Christy, This has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yeah. So thank you so much. This has been great. I think, for your listeners, I would say my biggest life philosophy is know that you always have a choice, right? You don't have to buy the stories that sometimes are fed to us, by external forces, by the media, by the people in our sphere of influence sometimes that mean well. You don't have to buy any of those stories. I've spoken to so many people that they have stories from those who feel they're too young, those who feel they're too old, too fat, too skinny, they're not the right color, they don't have the right socioeconomic background. And all of that is just noise. So I say, we were all put on this earth intentionally, given one life. We were all born purposefully in a set of circumstances we cannot control. We were given a family, we were given a race and a gender, and that's on purpose. So no one else could live your life. Know that you have a choice. Go with your gut. And if that means that it scares you, that probably means you're in the right direction. So, you have to just own it. And that's why I go back to own your experience.
Love it. Christie Lindor, again, this was a great pleasure. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.